जो चीज आपको लगे कि आपको पहले मालूम है तो आप मुझे बता दीजिएगा, ओके? और इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन एनी टाइम which comes to your mind, you have to immediately ask. Don't wait for the end of the lecture. Otherwise, the context will.
आपका जो just background is versatile. He is instrumental into this segment.
Okay. So we will start with the general transmission. What is the transmission network in India? How the transmission system is planned, the planning process, the entire country, how it is planned. Then what is the role in planning of different organizations? See, these organizations, I'm saying CA, CRC, CTU, STUs, they have been created recently. They were not there before. So what is the role they play? And now the private sector has also started coming in the private sector. A lot of private companies are coming. Then
Sir, open access.
Yeah.
Online people are also there. Online people.
Achha, there are some people online. Okay. So I'm not able to interact with them. So then we will go for this power transmission capability of the lines. Then transmission line design aspects, how the lines are designed, and then what is the construction issues right of way, then your forest clearance, etc., and what are the O&M issues. Okay, so this is the structure. We are going with the presentation. So this is the electric supply industry. Electric power supply industry means basically if there is a demand, then there has to be supply. So there is a demand of electricity. Electricity is a very, a commodity which is very, very essential.
After a long time, staff, the Saxena sir is very much, what I'm going to see, instrumental into this T and D, including academics. He started his career from academics, then still he is connected here as a Jammu Kashmir Transmission Research Chairman. Many knowledge, it's not necessarily he don't ask anything up to 220 volt. Everything he has to place. Angel phase क्या आ रहा है, कहाँ power quality है, क्या software आ रहा है, how to integrate those. This is starting phase, right? So please, don't hesitate. Thank you, sir.
Okay. You ask questions whenever it comes to your mind.
Okay.
So this is the supply industry. So there is a demand, consumer, supply side. So transmission is an interface between generator and demand, supply and demand. It's a very important link. Then this power generation as of now it's a competitive market. Earlier it was a monopoly. Andhra Pradesh Power Electricity Board. There used to be Andhra Pradesh Power State Electricity Board. So the board is a monopoly. Generation, transmission, distribution, everything monopoly. Now what has happened? Power generation has been made competitive. Lot of generations coming, competing with each other. Monopoly system has got some disadvantages. They don't bother about the consumer. They don't bother about the power quality. So there is no competition. They don't bother about the cost either. So, and distribution is also, competition is possible, But transmission, the competition is not possible. And so therefore transmission state continues to be the state government monopoly in a particular area. So some lines which are interstate are regulated centrally by the central government, CERC. Then state sector lines are regulated by the State Electricity Regulatory Commission, which are within the states. They are normally 132 kV and below. Of course, 220 kV are also there. 220 kV lines are there in both central and as well as state sector. Then, of course, is the consumer. So, this is where the transmission stands. This is the supply chain. Number of generators connected to the transmission company. Transmission companies, there may be one company, there may be several companies. Private sector companies, state sector companies, and there are, I have only shown 2 companies, there can be several companies. Okay, so all the generators are connected to the transmission network somewhere or other. Some are connected at Rehan, some are connected at your Telangana, some they are connected to Chennai. So they are all connected to the grid. So they form a power pool. Power is all pooled when there is a load. Then there has to be a system operator. Why a system operator is required?
Flowing of power one into another end.
Flowing of power, but power will flow in any way if there is no system operator.
Monitoring system.
Why do you require a monitoring? Let the Kirchhoff's law take care of the power flow.
Demand is varies.
See, electricity is a commodity where the supply and demand has to be matched every second. There should not be a mismatch of even a fraction of a second. Otherwise, the system will be thrown out of the gear. The moment I switch on the electricity fan or light, it has to be supplied by somebody. The generation has to be increased somewhere. Who monitors that? So system cannot work without an operator to match the supply and demand, that is indirectly maintaining the system frequency. If there is a mismatch between the supply and demand, then what will happen? System frequency will go haywire. So sophisticated machines which are running on the basis of the frequency will not be able to give you a good output. Then the voltage. Voltage has to be maintained uniformly so that whole system, machines, equipments work in a unison, in a correct operating voltage for which they have been designed. So a system operator has to see frequency, load generation balance. He has to see the reactive power balance, that is the voltage. And third thing, system integrity. System should not be thrown out of the gear. System should remain intact all the time. So a system operator is essential. Then we have got distribution companies and the retail loads connected. So this is a supply chain. But how this chain operates? So many players are there. Earlier I said when there was AP SCB, AP State Electricity Board, only one generator is there, Andhra Pradesh Generating Company, or company, it's a board basically. So no personal interest was there. Now the private sector generations are there. State sector generations are there. Central sector generations are there. Competing with each other. Competition is for money. Basically, ultimately what matters is the company profits. So they are all busy in their own interest. Who bothers about the system? System operator bothers about the system. So there has to be a regulator. There was no regulator before when the APSCB was there. Regulation was not required because you are playing single. If you are playing in a team, the people are competing with each other, you require a referee. There has to be rules. What is the penalty kick? What is not penalty kick? What's the goal? Why is not the goal? So there has to be a referee. So in a power market, you have in fact regulators. One regulator is the central sector. Then there are a number of regulators at state level. Then there is a central electricity authority, which is basically a technical body, which is advising the state sector and as well as the central sector. Then there are transmission systems and state load dispatch centers, central sector and RLDCs and NLDC. Large customers can connect directly to the central grid. Large customers, the Act allows that. You know, railways. Railway is a distribution company. You know that? Railway earlier they used to take the power from the state electricity board. When they are passing through Hyderabad, they take the power from APSCB. When they go to Tamil Nadu, they take the power from TNEB. Now they take the power directly from any generator. They can purchase the power from the Tatas. Train is running in, let us say, Lucknow. They can buy the power from Odisha. They can have a contract with the private companies. Earlier, railways used to get the power at the rate of 8 rupees, 9 rupees because state charges and monopoly characteristic. They have no other go. They have to purchase the power from state SEB only. Now they can have a power. So railway have got distribution license and they are having they are a distribution company and they are free to purchase the power directly from anywhere. Of course, they have to pay the open access charges. Then of course the state sector is supplying the discounts. So what is the nature of the transmission system business rather? It is a backbone of the power sector. Monopolistic characteristic. You cannot have two wires running in the same area, geographical area. Competition is not possible. You can't have two 400 kV lines running. So it is a monopolistic characteristic. So first entrant has an edge. This is the characteristic of a monopoly business. The one who enters the first will have an edge over the others, new players. The owner has a capability to manipulate the power market. So, in fact, in operation, the private sector is not allowed. We will come to that. Then a transmission owner cannot do the trading. It is as per the Act. Act does not allow. Power Grid Corporation or even the AP Transco, they cannot do the power trading business. They are banned as per the Act. And they have to provide non-discriminatory open access. If there is a monopoly in a line, and line is a must for all the generators, it cannot close its door to somebody. So they have to allow open access. Open access means anybody should be able to use the transmission lines whenever it is required by you. So they have to provide an open access for the free play of the market forces. Otherwise, market forces will not act freely. In India, there is a CTU at the center and the STU at the each state level for overall planning and coordination, and nodal agency for providing open access. Earlier, Power Grid itself was the CTU also. So Power Grid is a transmission company. A lot of other transmission companies are coming. So, and the CTU is doing this overall coordination also. So they can manipulate the things in their favor. So now the CTU has been separated. You know that. Last year, CTU is a separate company, not a part of the power. But state sector, it is still the state transco is a STU. So that separation has not taken place. But if more players come in the state level, so this separation will also come in future. Transmission systems in India, it's a phenomenal growth. Generation at the time of independence in 1947 was only 1362 megawatt. Right now, it is around more than 3 gigawatts. 3,70,106 megawatts. At the time of independence, we had the local grids. Local grids means there is a Kanpur city, there is a Hyderabad, Bombay, Calcutta, and electricity was considered as an urban commodity. Urban commodity means the people living in the cities, they require electricity. Villages were not electrified at all. So there were private generators located close to the city, and then they were supplying power. So local grids were there. And government realized immediately that this kind of system cannot work. This kind of a system cannot work if India has to grow. So there was the Electricity Act 1947. You heard this? Electricity Act 1947.